I never cheated, never yelled, never broke a single dish or hid anything behind his back. All I said, calmly, carefully, was that I needed time to reconnect with myself. A little space. That was all. But when I came home, the locks had been changed. My things were stacked neatly on the front porch, like I'd been cut out of my own life. It hadn't always been like that. There was a time I genuinely believed we were happy. Or at least I tried hard enough to believe it that it felt real. I met Daniel when I was 24. After years of emotionally messy relationships, he was a breath of predictability, always on time, remembered how I liked my coffee. He replied to texts quickly and never made me guess where I stood. His reliability felt like rescue, and I confused it for love. We moved in together after a year, married 2 years later. On paper, we had everything figured out. A warm apartment filled with soft light, stable jobs, Sunday routines of cooking together, grocery lists, shared playlists. We fit well, or so I thought. But beneath the day-to-day comfort, I felt myself fading. Not because Daniel did anything wrong, but because I never really figured out who I was before becoming part of us. I contorted myself into our life, convinced it was devotion. For a while, that was enough. Until it wasn't. The shift was slow, almost invisible at first. I began to notice every tiny thing. His silence while we watched movies. The boots he never placed by the mat. The way our nights followed the same rhythm. Over and over. I wasn't angry at him. I was mourning the version of me I'd let vanish. So I started to drift. Quietly. I took walks without explanation. Lingered in cafes longer than necessary. Filled notebooks with questions I couldn't answer. I wasn't seeking escape. I was reaching for myself. One evening I sat across from him and said softly, I think I need a little breathing room. He looked up confused. Breathing room? You're leaving? No, I said quickly. Just some space. Maybe stay with Sarah for a week or two. I need time to think. I assumed he'd understand. He always appreciated how introspective I was. But instead, his face closed off. So you're walking out, he said, like I'd broken some unspoken rule. I'm not leaving you. I whispered. I just need to find myself for a moment. He didn't say much after that. Just a stiff nod, and went back to his screen. My chest tightened, but I told myself it was guilt, not a sign of something worse. The next morning, I packed a small bag, planning to message him once I got to Sarah's. But I didn't make it there right away. I stopped at a used bookstore, bought a fresh journal and 2 slim poetry books, then sat in my car for what felt like hours. I wasn't running away from Daniel. I just couldn't keep disappearing inside our life. Eventually, I turned around, ready to explain it better, to make him understand. But when I got home, my key no longer worked. I stared at the lock, trying again, then knocked. No response. Then a vibration in my pocket. A single message from him. You wanted space. Here it is. Your stuff is outside. I read it again and again, frozen. By the steps were my suitcase, a folded blanket, my favorite mug, all placed there carefully. Like I died. That night, I cried in the backseat of my car, hugging a book of poems like it could make sense of my grief. Sarah took me in, let me stay, though even she seemed unsure what to say. Maybe he's just hurt, she offered gently. But deep down, I knew it was more. He hadn't just acted from pain. He had drawn a line and pushed me across it. Weeks passed. I texted him once, then again. No answer. He disappeared completely. Locked me out of our shared accounts. My mail stopped coming. It was like I had been erased. And the worst part? I didn't know what I had done that was so wrong. Was asking for space a betrayal? Or was his response to real cruelty? Months later, someone mentioned he was seeing someone new. A woman who didn't need space. Who didn't carry notebooks around like lifelines. I found her online. Her life looked tidy, settled. She seemed like someone who didn't question herself in the middle of the night. For a while, I believed maybe I was a problem. Maybe I didn't belong in the kind of life I thought I wanted. Maybe I was built for disorder, not domesticity. A year passed. Then one afternoon, a call came from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. Hey, the voice said. It was Daniel, but softer, worn down. I get it now. There was a long silence. Then he said, when you said you needed space, all I heard was you walking out. So I beat you to it. I pushed you away first. I wanted to shout, to ask why he hadn't just talked to me. But I didn't, because I understood it, too. We were both terrified of abandonment. I lost myself trying to preserve our life. And he cut me out to protect himself from being left. We didn't get back together. There was no dramatic reconciliation. But we spoke again and again as time went on. Not as lovers. As two people who survived the same quiet collapse. Now, I live in a small apartment with wide windows and a plant I haven't killed. I write often. I breathe easier. I'm still searching for who I am, but the reasons feel real now. Sometimes I still think of Daniel, of how easy it is to confuse comfort with love, and how the real challenge isn't always walking away, but staying long enough to face the truth. Back then, I didn't know how to ask, and he didn't know how to stay.